Thought I'd make an update video on this $150 cattle panel greenhouse. I'll put a link here to the last video on this, talking about how so far it's been really wonderful for us. Made a series of videos on this, in fact, and now we just had a mid-March absolute blast of snow. It was down around 10 degrees for a little while, almost 16 inches of snow here or there, heavily driven by wind. And I thought it was a great opportunity to look at this greenhouse after this. And I will say this, I swept the roof just a tiny bit yesterday because there was one patch of snow sitting on there. But by and large, this thing cleaned itself off and it handled the snow incredibly well. You can see, I think, just how much snow is packed up against the side of this. All sliding off, all driven by heavy, heavy winds. I didn't come out and worry about this thing one bit. And the only reason that this didn't shed the snow entirely is because I bought these panels used, and there was a little indentation there that if I thought about it more thoroughly when I first built it, I would have made sure to get it a little bit more, here you can kind of see it there, it dips in. So it held the snow just a little bit, but certainly didn't crush it. And the two that I've made since then, I use brand new panels and they work beautifully. Inside, boy, if you could only feel, it's just a wall of heat. Very, very warm in here. It's probably 50 degrees inside right now. And you can see there's some blankets on the far end. We've been using those to cover these mini cold frames. Very, very simple, rudimentary cold frames made out of old greenhouse plastic and plywood. This one's made out of an old window and some wood. And we have seedlings I started in late February that have now gone through a blizzard. They've gone through -3°F nights and all sorts of crazy temperature fluctuations. And all that being aside, we have artichoke babies, we have potato onion babies all in here. I didn't bring a heater out, didn't do anything like that. They're just handling it. There's infant Hablitzias coming up. These little dark greens. Now there's tons of weed seeds in here. That's a mistake on my part of, I believe, ragweed at some point must have gotten in here or gotten into some of the compost that I brought in. But that's easy enough. I can handle that. It's a hassle, but it's not the end of the world. Really, it's fundamentally, this structure is performing incredibly well. I mean, you can see again how much snow is packed up against it, and it's not bowed in. It doesn't show any signs of wanting to collapse. So if you're in very cold, very snow heavy situations, this still is a good solution. And again, this structure cost me $150-ish to build. That's with brand new UV stabilized greenhouse plastic, which should last a number of years. And in this case it was used cattle panels, but in the future I would have just done it with brand new ones. Again, we've got -3 temperatures that happened not too long ago, and we still have rosemary that's alive. Now, my wife went through and stuck some bamboo sticks in and put a blanket over these for that -3 night. But so far, very, very impressed with this basic idea. You can check out other links where I show how I put this together, but I'd really encourage anyone thinking about season extension or early start or being able to start seedlings without fossil fuels and electric grid and all that kind of stuff. These cattle panels really make for an amazingly strong, resilient structure. I'll just take a quick look at some of the other ones we have. Just as a quick aside, the current temperature in here is 57 Fahrenheit with a nice high humidity. Went down to 23, but it was also like 40-mile-per-hour winds and about 12 degrees outside last night, so I'm happy with 23 as a low. This one in our front yard looks even better. This is one I made this winter. I made it a little less wide, which means it's just a slightly taller in the middle and therefore a little bit stronger of a pitch. And I did not sweep this at all. It shed all the snow on its own. I did shovel so that I could get up to the door so I could look inside, but the snow packed against this is about 3.5 feet high, and pretty heavily wind driven, and there's no deflection and no sense of it being under stress internally. It's the exact same shape as it should be. Maybe that side has a tiny bit pushing in, but not much. And this space is also really warm, really ready to go. And soil is thawed, cool to the touch, but in quite a nice way. So we'll be ready to seed this out pretty soon. Of course, this spring, that's just the pattern that we're having. It's going to be 40, 45 in a few days, and then we're looking at a low of around 10 degrees in a few nights. So I might wait on seeding this out for spring starts until maybe the first week of April. But it's on its way and getting ready. And you can see the sorrel that's in here is doing its thing. So it looks quite different in here than it does 2 feet outside. Look at that snow, it's ridiculous. Again, this is another $150 structure, about $1 a square foot. I'm a 6-foot tall person and I fit in there pretty comfortably. And this is 4 cattle panels in this space. I really like the idea of 4, it feels like it's a nice useful size. The one in the chicken yard I haven't even dug out. You can see a little snow left on top, but again, this one's faring very well as well. And hopefully our friends will decide to go over there. I dug them a path over on the far end, back in there. They've got a little portal. So hopefully they'll figure it out and enjoy the high tunnel. And I'll get over there once the snow recedes a bit. So yeah, these things are really worthwhile.